My brothers and sisters, overthinking is one of the most common ways the Shaytaan traps us. He whispers doubts, creates imaginary scenarios, and keeps us frozen in fear. What if this happens? What if that goes wrong? What if I fail? These thoughts don't solve problems. They only make the heart heavy and cloud our connection with Allah. When you overthink, you begin to forget that you're not in control of everything Allah is. Islam teaches us to plan, to think, and to reflect, but not to paralyze ourselves with worry. There is a line between being cautious and being consumed. Once you've done your part, once you've made the effort, taken the steps, said the Da'ah, now let go. That's what Tawakkul means. You've done your best, now leave the rest to the one who knows the unseen. Allah says in the Quran, and whoever relies upon Allah, then he is sufficient for him. Surah At-Talaq 65:3. Imagine that, sufficient, meaning Allah will take care of what you're losing sleep over, what your heart is racing about, what your mind keeps replaying again and again. He knows what's in your heart, even before you whisper it in your Da'ah. Sometimes things don't go according to your plan, but have you considered maybe that was mercy? Maybe that job you didn't get, that relationship that didn't work out, or that opportunity that slipped away, was actually Allah's way of protecting you from something you could never have foreseen. He sees the full picture. You and I only see a tiny corner. The Prophet Muhammad faced moments of extreme difficulty. Taif, the boycott in Makkah, the loss of loved ones. But he never gave in to panic or despair. He did what he could, and then he raised his hands and turned to Allah. And what happened next? Victory, peace, clarity, not immediately, but eventually. My beloved brothers and sisters, talk to Allah more than you talk to yourself. Make Da'ah. Speak to Him in your own words from your heart. Say, Ya Allah, I don't understand, but I trust you. Say, HasbunAllahu, wa ni'mal Wakeel. Allah is enough for me, and He is the best disposer of my affairs. Stop trying to control every outcome. Let go of what you can't control and give it to Allah. You will find that once you stop overthinking and start trusting, Allah opens doors you didn't even knock on. Your heart will calm, your mind will settle, and you'll witness things fall into place in ways you never imagined. So stop overthinking, trust Allah, and watch what happens next. Overthinking is one of the subtle yet powerful traps of Shaytaan. He doesn't always come to us with outright evil. Sometimes he plants a small doubt in our minds, just enough to shake our certainty, to disturb our peace. That tiny whisper grows. What if this goes wrong? What if they're judging me? What if I fail? These are not just innocent thoughts. They are part of a cycle that leads us away from trusting Allah. Shaytaan's goal is not just to make us sin. He wants to disconnect us from our calm, our clarity, and our connection with the Almighty. When you begin to overthink, notice how your heart starts to race, your sleep becomes restless, and your prayers feel empty. That's not from Allah. Allah gives peace. Shaytaan gives panic. He wants you to be trapped in past regrets and future fears so that you are paralyzed in the present. And what happens when you keep overthinking? You begin to doubt yourself. Then you start doubting people. Eventually, you may even start questioning your do's, your efforts, and sadly, sometimes, your faith in Allah's plan. Shaytaan whispers in a way that makes you feel like you're being careful, like you're just being wise, but in reality, it's excessive fear disguised as caution. Islam teaches us to plan, to reflect, to seek advice. But once we've done that, we must move forward. Shaytaan wants you to keep turning the same thought in your mind over and over again until it becomes a burden you can no longer carry. That's when you feel stuck, anxious, and helpless. And that's exactly where he wants you, distracted from your purpose, disconnected from your Lord. The Prophet taught us to seek refuge from these whispers. He would make dua for protection from anxiety and grief. That's because overthinking isn't just mental. It affects the heart and soul. It's no surprise that the longer you listen to those whispers, the harder it becomes to focus on your prayer, your Quran, your goals, or your family. The solution: recognize the whisper for what it is and respond with remembrance, with dhikr, dua, and trust. Speak to Allah more than you listen to your thoughts. Replace the noise with clarity. Shaytaan may whisper, but you have the choice to tune it out and turn back to the one who gives your heart peace. Tawakkul, or trusting in Allah, is one of the most powerful sources of peace a believer can experience. It means placing your complete reliance on Allah after doing everything that is within your control. It's not about sitting back and doing nothing. It's about making your effort with sincerity and then handing over the outcome to the one who knows best. When you practice true tawakkul, your heart stops chasing things it was never meant to control in the first place. So many of us carry heavy loads on our shoulders, worries about the future, fears of failure, concerns about provision, health, family, or relationships. But when you say in your heart, "Ya Allah, I've done my part, now I leave it to you," something shifts. That knot in your chest begins to loosen. That voice in your head that keeps asking, "What if?" begins to quiet down. Why? Because the burden is no longer entirely on you. You're leaning on the one whose power is unlimited. Tawakkul doesn't mean things will always go the way you want. It means you trust that whatever happens is the best thing for you, even if it's not immediately clear. You begin to see delays as wisdom, hardships as tests, and closed doors as protection. You start to walk through life with a calmer heart because you know that you are not walking alone. Allah is with you. He sees your struggle. He knows what you don't say out loud. He's already written your path, and he never makes a mistake. When you have tawakkul, you stop constantly comparing yourself to others or obsessing over outcomes. You stop forcing things to happen and start trusting that if it's meant for you, it will reach you, no matter what stands in the way. And if it's not meant for you, it could never bring you peace anyway. This trust is liberating. It doesn't remove all pain, but it removes the hopelessness that comes with pain. It doesn't erase all fear, but it calms the fear with the reminder that Allah is in control. Tawakkul is a daily practice. It's not just a feeling. It's a choice you make every time anxiety tries to take over. And with each time you choose trust over worry, your heart becomes more at ease. Because when Allah is enough for you, nothing else can shake you. Allah is the best of planners, and this is a truth that brings deep comfort to the hearts of believers. Sometimes in life, things unfold in ways we didn't expect, and it can be confusing or even painful. You might have plans, hopes, and dreams that seem to fall apart right before your eyes, and you wonder why things didn't work out. But when you truly believe that Allah is the best of planners, you begin to understand that what seems like a setback may actually be a step forward in a direction you can't yet see. We only see a small piece of the picture. Our knowledge is limited to what's in front of us, but Allah's knowledge encompasses the past, present, and future. He knows what is hidden in the hearts, what lies behind closed doors, and what is written for tomorrow. What you thought was rejection may actually be redirection. What felt like a loss may be protecting you from something greater. When Allah plans, it's with infinite wisdom, mercy, and perfection, something no human being can ever match. Even in the moments when things don't make sense, a believer holds on to the certainty that Allah knows best. That failed opportunity, that unanswered dua, that sudden change in your life, all of it fits into a plan designed by the one who loves you more than anyone else ever could. Sometimes Allah withholds something you want because He's preparing something better, or maybe He's teaching you patience, building your strength, or drawing you closer to Him. The heart finds peace when it surrenders to this truth. When you trust that Allah's plan is always better than your own, you stop being consumed by confusion and start being content with whatever comes your way. You begin to say, "This is difficult, but I know Allah has a reason." And later, when the plan unfolds, you often realize that what Allah chose for you was far better than what you were asking for. Faith means walking through life knowing that every delay, every test, and every unanswered prayer is still part of a plan filled with wisdom. You might not see it now, but you will see it when the time is right. And when you do, you'll look back and say, "Subhanallah, He really is the best of planners. Your Qadr, your destiny, is already written." Long before you were born, before your first breath, before your name was known to anyone in this world, Allah had already written your story. Every moment, every joy, every heartbreak, every success and failure, every person you would meet, every word you would speak. It was all recorded by the will and knowledge of the one who created you. This truth is not meant to make you feel helpless. It is meant to bring you peace. When you realize that your destiny is written, you stop exhausting yourself trying to control everything. You begin to understand that no matter how much you plan, the outcome is never entirely in your hands. That doesn't mean you stop making efforts. Islam teaches us to act, to try, to strive for excellence. But it means that after all is said and done, you rest in the belief that what has been decreed for you will never miss you, and what misses you was never meant for you. Sometimes life throws things at us that we don't understand, losses, changes, delays, and we ask, why me? But your Qadr is not random, it is not without meaning. It is written by the one who knows you better than you know yourself. He knows what will bring your heart closer to him. He knows what will build your character, test your faith, purify your heart, and prepare you for what lies ahead. Every experience is part of a divine script, authored by the Most Wise. When you accept that your destiny is written, you begin to let go of regret. You stop punishing yourself for what you couldn't control. You forgive yourself for the things you now know better about. And you find strength in the realization that even your mistakes were part of your journey back to Allah. This belief turns even pain into purpose. Trusting in your Qadr doesn't make the challenges go away, but it gives you the strength to face them with courage. You walk through life with less fear, knowing that everything that is meant for you will reach you at the exact moment Allah has planned, not a second earlier, not a moment later, and that certainty fills your heart with a calm that no worldly achievement can provide. Worry is a part of being human. It's natural to feel concerned about your future, your family, your health, your work, or your relationships. Even the prophets felt worry at times, worry for their people, for their missions, for the trials they faced. Islam doesn't ask us to become emotionless. In fact, acknowledging your emotions is a sign of humility and self-awareness. But what Islam teaches is balance. When worry turns into obsession, when it begins to consume your thoughts, affect your health, and distance you from your trust in Allah, that's when it becomes harmful. There's a difference between thinking and overthinking, between concern and constant fear. Obsession happens when your mind is so attached to one outcome, one problem, one fear, that everything else becomes blurry. You stop sleeping well. You stop focusing in your prayers. You lose peace because your heart is always restless. That's not how Allah wants you to live. He wants you to reflect and prepare, yes, but also to rest your heart in His remembrance and His promises. Obsession is often rooted in the desire to control what we can't control. We want guarantees, we want to predict outcomes, we want certainty in everything, but life doesn't work that way. Allah reminds us that He alone holds the future. When we forget that, we start carrying a weight we were never meant to bear. The more we try to manage everything in our minds, the more exhausted we become mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually. That's why we're taught to turn to dua in times of worry. Dua is not just asking, it's letting go. It's saying, Ya Allah, I'm worried, but I trust you. It's placing your fear in His hands and finding comfort in knowing that He is capable of what you are not. It doesn't mean your situation will change overnight, but your heart will feel lighter. You'll feel calmer because you've handed over what you can't control to the one who can. So, let yourself feel worry. It's human. But don't let it become an obsession that steals your joy and disrupts your worship. Use it as a reminder to connect more deeply with Allah, to renew your reliance on Him, and to remember that peace is not found in figuring everything out. It's found in trusting the one who already has. The Prophet Muhammad faced some of the most difficult trials a human being could endure. Yet through it all, he placed his complete trust in Allah. From the very beginning of his mission, he was met with opposition, insults, rejection, and even physical harm. Those closest to him were mocked, boycotted, tortured, and in some cases killed. He lost his beloved wife Khadija and his dear uncle Abu Talib in the same year, a period so painful that it was known as the Year of Sorrow. Yet even in the depths of grief, he never allowed despair to take over his heart. when he went to Taif seeking support and was met with stones and ridicule instead, bleeding and broken, he turned to Allah in one of the most beautiful and heartfelt du'as ever recorded. He didn't curse the people, he didn't give up, he didn't question Allah's plan. Instead, he poured his heart out, acknowledged his pain, and reaffirmed his trust in his Lord. His words reflected deep humility and unwavering faith. That's the example we are meant to follow, not to deny hardship, but to meet it with submission and trust. Throughout his life, he relied on Allah not just in moments of crisis, but also in times of success. Whether in the cave during Hira, hiding from those who were hunting him down, or in the heat of battle when the odds were stacked against the Muslims, his calm came from knowing that Allah was with him. He didn't fear numbers or circumstances. He knew that when Allah is on your side, nothing else matters. His reliance wasn't passive. He still planned, he still tied his camel, he still strategized, but his heart was never attached to the outcome. His trust was not in his effort, but in Allah's will. And time again, we see how Allah supported him, protected him, and elevated him despite all the adversity he faced. This is a powerful reminder for every one of us. If the most beloved to Allah endured such trials and found strength through tawakkul, then we too must strive to do the same in our own lives. No matter how heavy the burden, how uncertain the path, or how deep the sorrow, following the Prophet's example teaches us that relying on Allah is not a weakness. It is the greatest strength a believer can hold. Dua is one of the most powerful gifts given to a believer. It is not just a ritual or a formality. It is a direct, personal, and intimate conversation with the Creator of the heavens and the earth. When you make dua, you are speaking to the one who knows you better than you know yourself, the one who has control over every situation you're worried about. It is your strongest tool because it reaches places your hands cannot, and it brings calm when nothing else seems to work. Dua doesn't require fancy words or perfect timing. You don't have to wait for a specific moment or be in a specific place. You can whisper to Allah in your own language from the depths of your heart, in the darkest night, or in the middle of a busy day. That moment when you raise your hands or even just your heart, you are doing something more powerful than any worldly effort. You are turning your worries over to the one who can fix them completely. What makes dua so special is that it's not limited by human logic. You might think something is impossible, but when you ask Allah, you're asking the one for whom nothing is impossible. You might not know the way forward, but Allah does. You might not see any signs of change, but your dua could be moving things in the unseen in ways you can't imagine. Sometimes the doors you see opening months or years later are the results of duas you made in tears when you thought nothing was happening. Dua also transforms your heart. Even before your situation changes, you begin to feel lighter. You feel heard, you feel seen. That is part of Allah's mercy. He responds in His own perfect timing, but He comforts you immediately by strengthening your heart. And even when the answer is not what you hoped for, dua is never wasted. It brings you closer to Allah, it builds your patience, and it earns you reward. It's easy to forget the power of dua when life gets overwhelming, but the believer knows that as long as they can make dua, they are never helpless. Keep asking, even if it's for the smallest thing. Keep calling on Allah even when you feel broken. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is fall to your knees and say, Ya Allah, I don't know what to do, but I trust that you do. And that trust, expressed through sincere dua, is what opens doors that no one else can unlock. Overthinking has a way of clouding the mind and heart so much that it becomes difficult to notice the blessings that are already present in our lives. When you're constantly focused on what might go wrong, what you don't have, or what's not working out, you begin to overlook everything that is going right. You wake up in the morning, and instead of thanking Allah for a new day, you're already drowning in thoughts of yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's fears. This mental habit builds a wall between you and gratitude. Gratitude requires presence. It needs you to slow down and acknowledge what you have, but overthinking pulls you away from the present moment. It keeps you living in a mental space of what if and what next, and making it hard to say Alhamdulillah for what is. You may have food, shelter, health, and people who care about you, but if your mind is constantly spinning with worry and analysis, those blessings start to feel invisible, not because they're gone, but because you've stopped noticing them. Shaytaan uses overthinking to keep us distracted from gratitude, because gratitude brings barakah. It multiplies blessings, softens the heart, and draws us closer to Allah. That's why Allah reminds us in the Quran, if you are grateful, I will surely increase you, Surah Ibrahim 14:7. But when the mind is busy replaying the past or predicting disasters in the future, the heart forgets to reflect on this promise. Gratitude is silenced by the noise of overthinking. A person who is grateful doesn't deny their struggles. They just don't allow their struggles to erase the beauty of what remains. Overthinking, however, often magnifies pain and minimizes joy. It convinces you that things must be perfect before you can be thankful. But in reality, the ability to be thankful even in difficulty is what brings true peace. Gratitude shifts your perspective. It reminds you that Allah has helped you before and He will help you again. It grounds you in what you have rather than what you fear losing. To overcome this, you have to make a conscious effort to pause, reflect, and say, Alhamdulillah. Even if your situation isn't perfect, even if your mind wants to keep racing, bring it back to the now. Look at what's still standing in your life. Look at what you've come through. Look at how Allah continues to protect and guide you. When you make this a habit, you'll find that the heart becomes lighter, the thoughts become clearer, and the gratitude begins to flow again, because you've removed the block that was hiding it all along. Patience and trust in Allah are two qualities that are deeply connected and cannot truly exist without each other. When a person is going through a difficult time, it's not just about waiting for the hardship to pass, it's about how they wait. Patience, or Sabr, is not passive. It's an active form of faith. It means holding yourself together when you feel like falling apart. It means staying firm in obedience to Allah, even when everything around you seems uncertain or painful. But this kind of patience is only possible when it's rooted in trust, when your heart is certain that Allah knows what He's doing. Trust in Allah gives your patience meaning. It tells you that the delay is not a punishment, that the test is not without purpose, and that every second of struggle is known to the one who created you. When you trust that Allah is the most merciful, the most wise, the one who never leaves His servant alone, your patience becomes lighter to carry. You begin to see your trials not as dead ends, but as part of a larger divine plan that will unfold in the best possible way. On the other hand, patience without trust becomes empty. If you're just enduring hardship without any belief that Allah is guiding you through it, then it's not really sabr, it's just waiting in pain. But when you combine patience with tawakkul, it transforms you. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, I trust that Allah has chosen this for a reason. You stop counting the days and start counting the lessons. You stop seeking a quick escape and start seeking growth and closeness to your Lord. The Prophet demonstrated this beautifully in every challenge he faced. Whether it was loss, rejection, hunger, or battle, he remained patient because he had complete trust in Allah's promise. He knew that ease would come, that truth would prevail, and that his Lord would never abandon him. That example teaches us that true sabr isn't just about enduring. It's about enduring with certainty in Allah's wisdom, timing, and mercy. When you live with both patience and trust, your heart becomes more resilient. Life's ups and downs no longer shake you the way they used to. You learn to breathe through the pain, to stay calm in uncertainty, and to keep walking forward even when you can't see what's ahead. And in that journey, you find peace, not because everything is easy, but because you know Allah is with you every step of the way. You're not alone. Even when it feels like no one understands what you're going through, even when the silence around you becomes heavy and your thoughts feel louder than the world outside, remember, Allah is always with you. He is closer to you than your own heartbeat. He hears the whispers of your heart before they ever become words, and He knows the weight of your sorrow even when you can't explain it to anyone else. Life can sometimes feel isolating. People may come and go, friends may disappoint, family might not always understand. You may find yourself in situations where you feel surrounded yet unseen, supported yet still aching inside. But in those moments, remind yourself that your Creator never leaves you. When you wake up in the middle of the night and cry quietly into your pillow, Allah sees every tear. When you pray through your pain, when you struggle to keep going but you still turn to Him, that is noticed by the one who never overlooks your efforts. The trials you face, the battles you fight in silence, the worries that eat away at your peace, they are all known to Allah. Not only is He aware, but He is actively supporting you in ways you can't always see. The strength you find to keep going when you feel like giving up, the unexpected ease that appears when things get too hard, the words of comfort someone says without knowing what you're dealing with, all of these are signs that you are not alone. Even the Prophet, in the most difficult moments of his life, was reassured by Allah's presence. When he was in the cave during Hira, with dangers surrounding him and fear in the air, Allah reminded him that they were not alone. Do not be sad, indeed Allah is with us. That same assurance is given to every believer who places their trust in Him. Your pain, your journey, your growth, it's all seen and carried with the help of the Most Merciful. So even if no one else notices, even if the world seems distant, know that Allah is near. Call upon Him, talk to Him, lean on Him, because you were never meant to carry everything by yourself. You're not walking this path alone. You never were, and you never will be. Sometimes a delay is a blessing in disguise. We often become so fixated on our own timelines. When we want things to happen, how quickly we expect results, and how life should unfold, that any interruption feels like a failure, but in truth, delay is not denial. Just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't, and more importantly, it doesn't mean it's not coming in a better, more perfect way. What we see as a delay is often Allah's way of protecting us, preparing us, or redirecting us towards something far greater than what we imagined. If everything came the moment we asked for it, we wouldn't develop patience, gratitude, or resilience. Sometimes the delay is the process through which your heart is shaped, your priorities are refined, and your faith is deepened. There are moments when we cry in frustration, asking, why is it taking so long? But Allah, in His infinite wisdom, is giving us exactly what we need, exactly when we need it, even if it doesn't match our expectations. The delay could be a mercy. It could be shielding you from something you're not ready for or from harm you can't see. You might be asking for something that seems good from your perspective, but Allah, who sees what you cannot, knows that the timing or the situation is not right. And so He withholds, not to hurt you, but to take care of you. That pause, that moment of waiting, might be the reason you grow closer to Him. It might be what forces you to increase your da'ah, to reflect, to rely on Him more sincerely. And that in itself is a greater blessing than the thing you were asking for. When you trust in Allah's timing, you begin to realize that every delay is actually part of a carefully crafted plan. Nothing is random. Every closed door, every postponed opportunity, every extended wait, it's all written with precision and mercy. And often, when what you were waiting for finally arrives, you look back and realize it came at exactly the right moment, in exactly the right form. So don't let the waiting break your hope. Let it build your trust. Let it be a reminder that Allah is never late. He's preparing something better, something more meaningful, and sometimes He's preparing you to be ready to receive it. Because what's written for you will find its way to you, not early, not late, but right on time. Peace comes when you say, HasbunAllahu, who wa ni'mal Wakeel, Allah is sufficient for us, and He is the best disposer of affairs. These words are not just a statement. They are a declaration of surrender, a profound release of everything heavy in your heart into the hands of the one who never fails. When you truly say it from the depths of your soul, you are acknowledging that no matter how overwhelming life gets, no matter how lost or anxious you feel, Allah is enough for you. That alone brings a peace that nothing in this world can offer. There are moments in life when everything feels out of your control. You try, you plan, you push forward, but the weight keeps building. You feel like you're standing alone in a storm, unsure of where to go. It is in those exact moments that these words become a lifeline. You say them not just to calm your tongue, but to steady your heart. You say them as a reminder that you don't have to figure it all out, because you have a Lord who already has. The companions of the Prophet said these very words when they were told that the enemy was gathering against them, and fear could have overtaken their hearts. But instead of panicking, they placed their trust in Allah with this powerful statement, and Allah strengthened them. He sent down peace. He turned fear into courage, and He transformed weakness into strength. That's the power of these words when they are said with conviction. They teach you that Allah's help is not dependent on how strong you are. It comes when you trust Him fully. You may not have the answers, the resources, or the strength, but you have Him, and He is enough. Saying HasbunAllahu wa ni'mal Wakeel is choosing reliance over panic, calm over chaos, and hope over despair. It's a shift from carrying everything on your own shoulders to placing your burdens in the hands of the most merciful. You'll find that peace doesn't always come from changed circumstances. It often comes from a changed heart. A heart that has learned to lean on Allah, that has stopped resisting what it cannot control, and that finds comfort in knowing that Allah is the best to manage what we cannot. So when life feels uncertain and your soul feels tired, say it with your heart, HasbunAllahu wa ni'mal Wakeel, and let peace settle in the spaces where fear once lived. My beloved brothers and sisters, if there's one message to carry from all of this, it is this: let go of the need to control every detail and hold on tightly to your trust in Allah. Overthinking will only drain your heart, cloud your vision, and rob you of the peace that Allah has promised to those who rely on Him. When your mind starts racing, remind yourself Allah is in control, your Qadr is written, and He never makes mistakes. You are not alone, you are not forgotten, you are not abandoned. The same Lord who brought you this far will carry you forward. So stop drowning in the what-ifs and start living in the Alhamdulillah. Every delay has wisdom, every hardship has purpose, every tear is seen, and every sincere dua is heard. Even when the answer is delayed or it comes in a way you didn't expect, let patience and trust be your shield, let dua be your weapon. Let HasbunAllahu wa ni'mal Wakeel be the anchor that steadies your heart when the storms of life hit. And never forget, the moment you let go of overthinking and sincerely trust Allah, that's the moment everything begins to change, sometimes in ways beyond what you could have ever imagined. Just trust Him and watch what happens next. Thank you, everyone.